This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and today we're in Denver, Colorado. I'm here with Gary Barnes International. Since 2008, this breakthrough business coach has shown you how to find the success you were meant to have. I'm joined here with business coach, founder, professional. Gary, thanks so much for joining us here today.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here with you.
Let's start off a little bit about yourself. Going way back, you were formerly educated at La Sierra University. Your past really is vast. With clients, you had Barnes Consulting, Financial Consulting, you had Max Life. I mean, both of those businesses together, you really more than doubled revenue in that first year. Share with me a little bit how this passion for you in helping other companies came about.
You know, it really started way back in college because I was a theology major.
Right.
And I thought it was good. My wife thought she was marrying a pastor, and I got surprised. And I was a square peg in a round hole. But I was putting myself through college being a realtor. And I was very successful, built it to one of the top producers in the Southern California, actually. And built one of the very first then financial planning firms in the country. People would say, I would tell them I was an estate planner, and they would ask me, where do I plant a tree? And I go, not that kind of estate. That was way before anything that happened with the industry called financial planning. Ran that for 33 years to the top 3% in production as a solo producer throughout the U.S. And the industry changed, and people were wanting to know how I built my business to such a high level so quickly. Yeah. And so I did the proverbial, buy me a hamburger and I'll spill my guts. And my wife told me, stop that. And so it evolved into what it is now, an international practice. It's all over the United States. And it's my demographic is a little bit different. Most businesses focus in on a industry. Mm-hmm. Whether it be demographic of some sort, and I went against the grain. And my demographic, my focus point is pain points. So entrepreneurs, business owners, and sales professionals who are frustrated with the return on their investment of time, energy, and money. And so a lot of people are building their business. They're really great at what they do. They're really poor at doing the business side. They don't know how to create the business. So it really evolved.
I believe that. And after all, like you said, as a business, we're here to take the pain away from people. Yeah. And so that pain point, once we realize what we're really providing and put that in a business plan together, works out great. Let me ask you this. It's probably safe to say that most solopreneurs out there would love to build their business to over $100,000 a year. Yet do most live with maybe 1 foot on the brake and 1 foot on the gas? Is that something you've experienced? And tell me what that kind of looks like.
It really does. I call the $100,000 revenue stream the glass ceiling. Is that somehow there was an exercise years ago that they took fleas and they put them in a jar and they put a cover over the jar, and the fleas would kept hitting the lid, and then after a while they took the lid off and the fleas would just go to that level. And so we have been trained that it's somehow not in us. We have this inability. Now, one of the focuses that I have created is 3 keys for success. And one of them is to be seen. Now, when we are, you have grandkids, I have grandkids, we have children. And the thing, when they're born, we want them to walk and talk. As soon as they do, we say, shut up and sit down. We are also told as children, don't talk to strangers. So how does that work in business? But the $100,000 level is achievable in my experience for any business. It's just how do they go about being aware, having their product. Now, the caveat is their product or service has to work. If it's a viable product or service, there is no reason not to get over that threshold and then multiply it. And so there's things that they can do, and my focus in working with people is creating a strategy that is expandable. So when they get to the 100,000, they're not having to recreate something. They just expand what they started with and build from there.
Duplicate that out.
Yes.
Instead of keep recreating something new or come up with a new plan every time, which can be time-consuming, not too cost-effective. I love that. I mean, I see so many coaches out there today, more than ever, that still work for somebody else. They have not achieved $100,000 for themselves even, yet they're out there coaching others. You personally have sold over $280 million in services yourself. I mean, that's what kind of caught my attention to you, that you're that sets you apart, would you say?
It's always been said, seek someone out that has done it, been there, and still doing it. And that is the credibility part. And that doesn't mean that people have, they don't have the right to be a coach, but to be a coach at a certain level and just be honest with what their expertise is. And unfortunately, there are a lot of people that go to school to be a coach that never have built a business. Their business that they're building is the business of coaching. And so that becomes a challenge at times.
Yeah, I see that as a challenge out there. I mean, would I rather be taught by a coach? Would I rather be taught by Michael Jordan how to play basketball? Probably somebody who's already done it. Happens much quicker. I mean, you bring years of real life experiences to your clients, but you also created the GET statements. Tell us about this mastermind model.
We talk about affirmations, and I believe affirmations really don't work because they're a lie. We will tell ourselves, I am wealthy, and then you go to your bank account, or I'm skinny, and then you get on the scale, and so we're doing this conflict within ourselves in that process. A GET statement is different because it's a future result stated in the present tense. So one example is I receive $100,000 with $80,000 net revenue by December 15th of whatever year. And so by doing that, we're saying I receive. It could come from any source. I don't work harder. I work right. Not smarter even. It's just right. And then the two numbers, most people will set a financial goal with one number. It's the big number. They don't get to spend the big number. You have to pay taxes. There's cost of doing business. And then it's by, not on. So you have by a certain date, and it can happen early, and most of the time it does. So it's really rebooting the brain for success and giving it specific information of what to look for because those opportunities are already there. One of my Garyisms, though, is opportunities are seldom convenient.
Interesting. That is a unique approach. I mean, I imagine people are kind of pleasantly surprised when they see something new like that. I mean, you teach how to live a life of vision and purpose while creating more financial success and abundance. All this done without really working yourself into the ground. I mean, does that work right approach, does that surprise people sometimes?
Well, it does, and it comes out of my personal experience in my financial planning days. I was working 7 days a week, 365 days a year, and I actually had one day I couldn't get any appointments, and it turned out to be Christmas Day. And so but what I found was that I had built a lifestyle that my family enjoyed that I did not participate in. And so I have a different viewpoint as I coach now of saying, hey, let's have a balanced life. It's not just about the money. It's about health. It's about having a family, having memories, and all the rest.
I've always said a business is simply a vehicle to getting us what we want while we're serving other people. How does getting some sand under our wheels quickly move us forward? And is that your specialty as a traction coach?
It is. One of the philosophies that I developed, and I frankly don't know anyone else that teaches this, is that the first time anyone buys anything from anyone, no matter what the product or service is, they're buying what I call borrowed belief. They have no belief in what you say is actually going to be true, and maybe they even have a disbelief because other people have said and made those same promises. It's only in the experience of the result, and that's why it's so important to give them a win. It doesn't have to be a big win. It just has to move the needle to where they can say, hey, it does work, not just for them, but for me.
Absolutely.
And so that transition in that belief allows them to take that next step. It's almost like, going back to babies, you want them to walk, but you don't enter them in a marathon in the first 6 months. You just want them to take those baby steps and then, being able to have that balance. And because of that, then they're able to, and as a coach, it's a little bit unique. I treat my clients, and I call them my kids, even the clients that are older than I am. And the idea is when we have our children, we want them to grow up and leave home. And we want them to do better than we did. And so when you have that attitude as a coach, and there's a lot of coaches out there like me, and when we have that, then we're not, holding them down, or making them dependent upon us, because we want them to be independent and viable on their own.
Makes sense. I mean, you know firsthand that anyone can lead an empowered life, no matter the challenges they face or their current circumstances, because you yourself are no stranger to struggle. Share with us how you've won after life-threatening challenges.
Back in 1988, I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. I had lost all feelings from the neck down. If I didn't see my feet, I couldn't walk. I would feed my ear with, my kids would say, do the finger trick and put your finger in my ear, and just had fun with it. But the doctor said I would be dead or in a wheelchair within 10 years. And I knew that I had two choices to believe the doctor, because we all have adversity in different types. But I also knew that I could change that possibly without a guarantee. And so virtually I created a visualization, which turned now into my first book called How a Beaver Saved My Life. But the thing is I went into the future and I saw myself on my 100th birthday, and I had just this concept that I could have a different outcome than what the medical community said. And so, but the challenges that we have can be mental, physical, spiritual, the family relationships, we're going to have them. And it's what do we do with them? What lesson do we bring out of that? What can we build ourselves up with for the next time that we have a challenge? Because there is no growth without challenge.
Yep. You've been there, you've done that. So when people come to you with some smaller circumstances, some smaller problems, you probably look at it and say, oh, we can do this, I imagine.
Yeah, absolutely. It's having the empathy, because what they're feeling is the first time always is, and it looks so large. But the reality is when we start breaking it down and saying, okay, what can we do? There's things that I don't do anymore. I used to rock climb, and I don't do it anymore. But I still fly P-51 World War II fighters and jump off of high buildings. And, there's just people say I'm nuts. But it's something that I'm looking for the experience. I have to let go sometimes of how I get the experience.
Your mission is simply to empower everyone you connect with. I mean, be it workshops, teleconferencing, or coaching. Does working with you one-on-one, does that begin with a consultation and to see if it's a good fit? What do you recommend for someone out there?
I really would. Just have a short conversation. People get a sense if they connect with someone. And it really starts with that indication, is there an ability to trust? How much information are you going to truly be open with of where you are, where you want to go, and risk that possibility of achievement? And whether I'm speaking to thousands of people on a stage or whatever, the empowerment thing is really important, that it's not my power to you, but it's helping people connect the power that's already within them. And when that transitions, then they're saying, okay, what's my next step? And so whether it be in a group coaching situation, an individual coaching, a home study course, whatever it might be, but the idea is how can we leave people with information, techniques, strategies that's going to affect in a positive way the next day.
Starts out with a conversation, like you said, starts out with some trust on the front end, but then you start delivering results, and it benefits both parties.
Absolutely. And there are times people come to me, and I just instinctively know there's another coach that I know would be better for them. I refer them. And so it has to, there's an interview process going both ways.
Interesting. For those who are not maybe ready for private one-on-one, is the twice-monthly group coaching a great way to start?
It really is. And one of the reasons that I say that, too, is I always give away a 30-day membership to that. It's the free gift from Gary.com, and they can come in and experience 2 sessions with this international group to see if it's something that is not only beneficial to them, but are the people the right people they want to associate with. And so I call it the pink spoon. You go to 31 flavors, you go through and you test it out and see if it's something that connects to them. And, so there's no harm, no foul. But, yeah, that is a great way to do it.
Excellent. I mean, Gary, as a high-performance business and sales coach, you've helped others achieve the next level of success using practical, personal experience of building your own successful businesses over really 3 decades. Is this still rewarding work for you?
People ask me all the time, when will I retire? And my response is, this is not what I do, this is who I am. Some of the pre-discussion that we have had here, this is who I am all the time. I mean, this is me. And so, yes, it's still rewarding, and it's still being able to leave breadcrumbs for people to, have permission to write their own book, to be on stage, to have what I call celebrity. Celebrity, to me, my definition is how am I different from, not better than. It's not an ego thing. So giving people the permission to step into their light, so that whatever they're meant to give while they're here, and to be able to produce and have that sense of achievement. That's what I'm about. So everybody has their own.
That's great.
Their own.
That's a great answer. I mean, I see a lot of my buddies already retiring. I'm not even want to retire, but like you said, this isn't what I do. This is who I am. I think that's a great answer. I might steal that from you.
Absolutely.
Viewers, let's take a look at the bottom of the screen right there. What you're going to see is the website. On the website, see all the services he provides. We're talking from coaching to keynote speaking, or as simply as signing up for his monthly electronic newsletter. I mean, if you're stuck or frustrated with the return on investment of time, energy, and money that you put into your business, definitely reach out today. Once again, that is Gary Barnes International, the Breakthrough Business Coach. This is Gary Atencio with CNTV, and if you don't know, now you know.